But my kind of aha moment for sales is when I started to realize the more I could be of value add to the clients. What challenges are you experiencing? And then how am I the product expert in that, right? You don't need a ton of customers to do really well. You need to pick a few really good clients and make sure you're getting every bit of their business.
It's a difficult thing for a young salesperson to comprehend. You're there for value. You're there to support your customers and focusing your attention on the people that are going to appreciate what you're doing. And not everybody does. It's really, sales is about helping people, and we get paid handsomely if we do it well.
There's a fine line between cockiness and arrogance, but I think when you're there and you're well respected and trusted, you don't ever owe anybody anything that's not looking out for you too.
Most people think of sales guy, they think of the short sleeve, clip-on tie, used car sales guy. That's our mission, is to help change that perspective. Hey everybody, Walter Crosby with Helix Sales Development, your host of Sales and Cigars. Today I'm smoking my favorite shitty tractor cigar, right? I call it tractor cigars. That cigar you're riding around on the tractor and tree branch smacks you in the face and it knocks you out of your mouth and you're not exactly broken up by the fact that it fell out of your mouth. So I got a Mark Twain. Simple, mild, really, it burns well, but nothing special about it. It's just if you want a cigar while you're doing some mindless activity, it's a great stick, and inexpensive. Today, my guest is Michael Cole. He runs this organization that he started off, tells the story. He started off and he didn't even realize that he had a business that he was going to be, staffing, helping technicians. It's a great story, but he got there because he was trying to help people. He was in hospitality early in his career, right? Which is about helping people. He was in sales, which is about helping people, especially the way he went about it. And then he became an entrepreneur. And he tells stories about how, making payroll, right? If you haven't sweated a payroll once or twice, you're not really a business owner. So go grab a cocktail, go grab a cigar, strap in for another fun episode of Sales and Cigars. Thanks. So, Michael, welcome to Sales and Cigars. I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to have a conversation.
Yeah, man. Walter, thanks for having me.
So, let's just kind of jump right in. I always like this question to start. We don't know each other that well, but when you were 10, what did you want to be when you grew up? Do you have any recollection of what that was?
Yeah, for some reason, my childhood, all I really remember is trips to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I'm pretty sure I didn't even know what I wanted to do at 10. And I'm still figuring it out day by day here. I know I had a strong passion to possibly get into the restaurant industry. And then I did that for a while and that faded quickly.
It's a lot of hard work and crazy people.
Yes, which I'm still doing now, shockingly enough.
It's funny, the hospitality done well is rare. It's difficult, but it's a lot more common sense than it is anything else. Just treating people how you'd want to be treated for that particular setting. Well, you don't go to Applebee's and expect to be treated like you are at Roberta Dunn, but people don't need to be assholes. And that's what I see when my wife and I were at dinner last night, and there was a couple that were sitting next to us, and they were whining and complaining about everything to the waiter. And I felt bad for the waiter because they had no basis for their complaints. It was just weird. It's a weird industry. It's hard.
Yeah, we've gotten away from hospitality. It's something I tell everybody every day. It's it's the one thing that, like you just said, regardless if you're at Applebee's or, a fine dining, you can always find a way to make someone's day. It's not that hard.
Yeah. If that's your intent, if it's here to take out your shit on somebody else, you're probably not going to have a good day. And they work for tips.
Yep.
That's it. So you weren't sure what you wanted to do when you're 10, but now you're doing something different. So kind of talk about that journey from hospitality industry to, your next level technician business?
Yeah. So after graduating college, really had no clue what I wanted to do. I think like most people that graduate college, I had waited tables throughout my younger adulthood and got an opportunity to go manage at one of the restaurants that I had waited at, which is like usually a no-no in the restaurant industry, especially for like the bigger chains. And as a 21-year-old strapping young gentleman that's now managing all his friends, you can imagine how that went. So I wasn't the poster child of great management then. Not sure if I am now, but I've learned a lot along the way. So they let me have a nice exit from that management role after a year or so of being a 21-year-old working with his friends. And I got a sales gig from a buddy in distribution selling fiber optic copper cabling. No clue what I was doing, just knew I loved dealing with people, maybe too much at times based on my past, but loved the connections, getting to know people. And the industry that I found myself in was very similar to the restaurant industry. Work hard, play hard mentality, a lot of late nights, happy hours, things like that. A lot of crazy people just like me in the industry. So I kind of fit right in. And once I got to really understand the industry, was able to really excel in the sales role there. And one thing that just kept popping up was folks' need for technicians, right? Like we need employees, we need laborers, we need folks that can actually get out there and do it. If you hear of any, let me know. And I was like, man, I feel like I could solve this problem somehow, because it was just nonstop, constantly like labor force this, labor force that. I'm like, can I help you sell like with the product I'm trying to sell, you know? And so I was volunteering at a local youth home, and on my way back, you know, a kid had mentioned to me that he didn't know what he wanted to do after he was going to have to leave this home. And the military came up, and I don't know, I was just kind of concerned for him because I didn't know if that was necessarily the path for him as well, based on some of his history. And I was thinking, man, what if I could just connect the two? Like, how can I find kids that maybe don't know what trajectory they want to have? College is not going to be for them. That's not an option on the table. And even if it is, maybe it's just they want to work with their hands or have other opportunities. They just don't know what else is out there. So that's kind of how I kind of bridged the gap. I called a buddy of mine, Jeff, and said, hey, man, I got this idea. You want to help me out? And he jumped at the chance to train. He said, I just asked that I get first dibs on any good candidates. I said, sold. And this was just going to be a training. We got through the first one, albeit it was rough. Learned a lot of lessons. And he said, I'll take the first one and tell me what his bill rate is. And I have no clue what you're talking about. I thought it was just kind of like a flat fee, an exchange of some sort of monetary amount. And sure enough, he was like, dude, this is staffing, man. Do the training, and then I'm going to take them from you. That's staffing. And then the light bulb kind of went off, and the rest has been history.
So you started a business without really knowing how the business was going to transact and how you're going to make money at the end of the day.
No idea, man. I just knew there was a problem. I knew that I could try to solve it. And, you know, once I found out there could be some financial gains for myself out of it, I was like, wow, I may have hit a home run here.
Karma, right? You're trying to do the right thing for the right reasons. And it comes back to you as a way to build a business and create some opportunity and grow. So that's awesome. Those are the stories that are fun, right? The adding, like, you're not sure how you were going to do it is a whole different element, but you did it. You started off trying to help people, and you're helping people, helping yourself, growing a company, growing a team. So you're helping a community as well. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. In fact, you mentioned that about the community. It was kind of interesting as we've evolved and grown. I've becoming really big into data points and pieces, because there's a lot that we can forecast on with some of the information we have now, based on where we are in the business. And one of those that I brought up this past year that I've never looked at before is the impact on the community, because we are staffing. So a lot of times, you know, we're dealing with all walks of life. We're dealing with all different types of clientele. And so you don't really, day to day, you don't really feel the impact of that. And last year alone, we had one individual on our team that payroll alone for some of our employees was, you know, in the 5 million range. So now obviously that all didn't go to one person, but if you look at that, that's pretty cool to know that one person on your team was able to employ folks in their community where they work and live to that degree, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, because when you're employing those people, they're getting a paycheck, right? They can pay their mortgage, they can pay the utilities, but they're going out to eat, they're going to get groceries, they're going to the dry cleaner, they're going to the baker, right? All of those, that is how you impact your community. The schools, you pay your taxes and they spend all that money however they're going to do it. But right, we're having impact that goes beyond and when that payroll is that size, that's a hell of an impact.
And that was just one person.
So you're teaching I'm not gonna try to explain it. You explain it, but you're getting low voltage technicians. What else are you teaching? Taking somebody raw and taking them from soup to nuts?
Yep. So obviously that was the initial intent right there, was to find green folks that just wanted to get in the industry. I mean, as most people know, in most construction jobs, in the next 5 years or so, 50% of that workforce is retiring. And so just trying to rebuild what that once was and find folks that want to take pride in working with their hands. So we started that green initiative that quickly led to, hey, that's great, but now we've got these large full-scale projects where we only need so many helper level folks. So that's kind of where the staffing side came in. And then, of course, the national pandemic kind of killed all training together. So we've been spending a lot of time in the past 2 years to revamp what our training looks like. And one of the big things that we're going to make the push for again is this green commitment to finding folks that want to get into our industry, because we get emails all the time like, how do we get involved? How do we get involved? So we have our own internal training, that next level technician that can help someone learn and when I say basics, I mean the basics, because when it comes to construction, you can learn just about anything you want to learn on the job site. If you have the aptitude to work with your hands, you'll be fine. You show up every day. That's the hard part. And that's the part that as a staffing company, we do our best to vet. And you'd be amazed at just how many people don't want to get out of bed and show up every day consistently.
No, I wouldn't be amazed, because I see it all the time. I have lots of friends who like own electrical contracting businesses, or, they're in a trade, and they just want somebody to show up every day and kind of work hard, right? They're not looking for the perfect. They're just looking for consistency. I remember I had a sign shop years ago, and I needed some guys, some labor, right, to kind of clean things up. And at the end of the day, and we were only going to be paying like $12 an hour. This was back in the early 2000s. And I called my co-op director from the high school I went to. I said, look, man, I need somebody that'll show up every day, won't steal, and is half a brain. And he's like, you need all three? Well, like, Mark, I mean, yeah. He goes, I don't know. So that was like my first experience, like finding people. I'm not surprised. I mean, I wake people up when I do an interview for a sales position, 1:00 in the afternoon, we call it the scheduled time, and I've woken them up.
Yeah.
That's how prepared they are.
That's insane. Yeah. And so, and I'm wondering too, if this hasn't always been a problem, but because now with technology and the ever evolving of the Internet of Things, it's just more prevalent in our everyday lives of this lack of people showing up. But I tell everybody, if you'll show up, you've already won the battle, and then the rest we can teach. And so our training for some of the greener folks, we really just give bare bone basics, like day one stuff you're going to be doing on a job site. And then of course we have advanced level courses. We actually have an accredited training that we can do through our industry standard. It's called Bixie. And then we even piecemeal just certain little parts of the job that tend to cause people the most problems, like grounding and bonding, oddly enough, making sure when lightning strikes, it doesn't fry a $30,000 server. Those little things that get
kind
missed.
of important.
Yeah, a little bit that you would be amazed gets missed or done incorrectly, even worse. A lot of what we're seeing is just things that are done incorrectly. And training to us means things different to our clients. We have to be really careful too when we discuss training, because, like you just said, you wanted all three, right? Like, hey, I want this, this, and this. Well, our client comes to us and they say, I need training for whatever it might be. And we have to really dive deep into like, what does that mean to you? Because everyone kind of has their own way of doing it. There's a million ways to skin the cat in the construction industry. So specifically for what we do, which is low voltage cabling, fiber optics, security systems, kind of the whole Internet of Things that's going back to some sort of copper or fiber install, is just, we got to really figure out what that means to them, what they're really looking for, and being able to implement with their team. And then for our side of it, we're mostly doing the green training. And then if clients reach out, we can help customize some trainings for them as well.
So ideally, where are they located? What's your geography that,
Yep. So we are across the country. We touch just about anywhere but California.
Chicago, Detroit, New York.
Yep. The heavier union cities on the staffing side are hard, but from a training perspective, we have a full-time trainer. A lot of what we can do is mobile on the staffing side, as long as there's really no like union constraints. And even then we have ways to work around that or work with them to still accomplish their goals. So across the country, man, we've been expanding now for the past 2.5 years. So we're just about everywhere.
So transition a little bit here. Tell me about a situation that you thought was jacked up, you thought was going to fail, and you put the effort in and you turned around and made it a success. Does anything come to mind there?
Probably one of the hardest lessons I had to learn was early on is we actually had a company go bankrupt, and that we were still really young. It was just me and three other folks at Next Level. And then of course we had techs out, and started our growth journey then. And literally as things were going great, started to notice I wasn't getting paid and tried to follow up and do all the things you do in those situations. I actually, luckily, because of my industry experience, a friend of mine that I had known for some years called me and said, "Hey man, I just want to give you a heads up." He called me to come fix all the problems on this job site. They haven't been overlooking your techs. They haven't been managing the project. Your guys are out here just doing whatever they want because they don't know any better. And they've called me now to come in and save the day. And they're not going to get paid on any of this. And I was just thinking, oh my God, like what? Number one, I was like grateful back to those networking days of my restaurant experience of like always, never burning a bridge and having lots of connections. And then kind of thinking, I mean, we were out at that time close to $100,000 with one customer. And as a small business, that's a lot. It's a lot for where we were back then. I mean, that was when we first started hiring employees for internally. And I was just freaking out and I had no clue what to do, never having done this before, never being staffing before, kind of learning. And then not on top of that, it was for a government facility, which I'm not too sure how familiar anybody is with lien laws or how that works. But when you're working on a government facility, you can't put a lien on it. Like it's off limits. So we really had I was up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, man. I was sweating. And I was just trying to think like, what can I do? I took a loan out of my 401k to start this business, kind of bootstrapped it myself. Didn't have any banking connections at that time. And I'm just sitting there scratching my head. I mean, we were 2 weeks away. If we weren't going to get paid soon, 2 weeks away from not making payroll. And to me, you don't ever screw with someone's money. Like that's just number one, you don't do it.
No.
So,
right.
So you have to get creative, man. So I went a little crazy ex-girlfriend on them, and started figuring out who the GCs were, who our folks were talking to on site. It's amazing what a little ingenuity will do. I mean, it goes a long way. So was able to contact a couple of the GCs they were working for. One pretty much told me tough shit. It is what it is. They're not going to pay anything. I ended up getting a really good lawyer connection at that time through another networking partner. And through the whole thing, we were able to come up with about half, cut them out, took them out of the middle. They sent me their bankrupt letter, like all this is going on. So in the meantime, though, the craziest part is back to that pandemic, they actually had that second row PPP coming out. And legitimately, I was on my last week and we were about not to make it. And I got the letter that we were approved. So that helped tremendously. And it was able to give us just enough to carry us over until we could get the half paid up. And like I tell everybody, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, it's creativity, ingenuity, just doing what you have to do in the moment rather than just rolling over and dying, right? That was your other option. So that fortitude. You were in sales. So was there a moment like and you're going through your sales journey, right? You start off not knowing what the hell you're doing. Usually most of us got hired because we said something or did something or showed up, right? And low bar to get in. But at some point we figure it out. Like sometimes it's weeks, months, years into the journey. Can you think of a time when you were like, hey, I'm not bad at this. Think I got this figured out. Is there anything popped in mind there?
Yeah. So funny, real quick to touch on that, back to the kind of showed up or said the right thing. I actually didn't even get hired for that sales job when I first went to my interview. It was between me and one other person that unfortunately couldn't pass their drug test. So luckily for me, I nailed that after he failed. So I like to hold that over my old boss's head. He loved that too. So, but yeah, so fast forward, I really think when you jump into sales, especially if you're on like a product side, anything that you have to have some sort of technical understanding of what you're doing, it takes time. And so I think the first 6 months, I mean, I was just like, what am I didn't even know how to tell people what I was doing. Like, I don't know what product I'm selling. I don't even really know how it works and what it does. And the longer I kind of stuck with it, the more it started to make sense. But my kind of aha moment for sales is when I started to realize the more I could be a value add to the client. So in other words, I'm not trying to sell you something anymore. Like what challenges are you experiencing? And then how am I the product expert in that? Right. So one of the things I started noticing is that when they would order, the add-on sale. So they would order one thing and I'd say, well, hey, what about, don't you need this or that? And they're like, oh crap, you're right. I do need that. Or they would send me a bill of materials or anything and part numbers would be wrong or anything that I could start helping kind of solve and make their day a little bit better to avoid the frustration of ordering the wrong part and having to return it and restock fees, whatever else that could be that technically would be their fault. It just started to click. So that was my first aha moment. And then as I started to get really good at it and grew a really good client base, my second aha moment was you don't need a ton of customers to do really well. You need to pick a few really good clients and make sure you're getting every bit of their business. And so I actually spent a lot of time going through my accounts and figuring out which ones were wasting my time, essentially, shopping me out, doing the different things. And then I put a lot of my effort more into the clients that were willing to like give me all, even if it wasn't that much business, but if they were willing to give me all their business, I was their first choice. I made sure any lead I found went to them. I made sure that I reciprocated that relationship, and I dropped probably 50 to 60% of my current client base at that time. And my sales went through the roof.
Yeah. It's a difficult thing for a young salesperson to comprehend, right? That you're there for value. You're there to support your customers. Yep. You sell something. Yep. But that's really helping them figure out, solve a problem, whatever it is, right? Whether you're selling wire or fire alarm systems or some fancy brandy thing, right? It's about providing that value. If they have a problem and you know how to solve it, great. In focusing your attention on the people that are going to appreciate what you're doing, and not everybody does. I sold fire alarm systems for a decade, and I had people that were very loyal, right? That like, you guys always do the 2 or 3 things that make a difference for us on a job, right? And it wasn't price. It was getting something delivered, getting a tech there to solve a problem, dropping off a part that they needed, that they broke something, right? And like, hey, I didn't tell them I needed a purchase order. Like, I'll bring it over to you tomorrow morning, 8:00. It'll be out on the job site. You just sign for it and we'll deal with the billing later, right? Because you got to keep the project moving. Those kind of things, if they're appreciated as a salesperson, we should be doing that value all the time. But, I would a guy like, hey, I need your quote for such and such. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you've never given me a job ever. Mm-hmm. And I've quoted you probably 37 projects in the last 6 months. And you never give me work. He goes, well, this is your job. Like, I have to work with you. Like, yeah, I know. I'll get you the quote later. Right. Well, I need it now. I understand. So like he got the quote but it wasn't in a convenient time for him because he never did me a favor. And the people that always worked with me got the advantage, right, of having that number in advance and pointing out things that were wrong. To me, it's really, sales is about helping people. And we get paid handsomely if we do it well.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the hospitality, how we started the call. I mean, I think that kind of plays into some of that role. You sound a lot like me. That sounds like something right out of my textbook. Oh, well, I got to work with you. Cool. I'll get that to you tomorrow. When's it due? Today at 5. Cool. You'll get it tomorrow. Like, I'm not bending over backwards because I think that comes with time, right? As any salesperson gets more confidence and knows their capabilities, you have to be careful there. It's a fine line between cockiness and arrogance.
Absolutely.
But I think when you're there and you're well respected and trusted, you don't ever owe anybody anything that's not looking out for you too.
Well, he was like, well, I'm going to call your boss. I'm like, you want me to put you on hold and I can transfer you the call? Because once he finds out that you've never given us a job, you won't get a quote ever, right? That'll be his line. So do you want me to transfer you? And he just like hung up on me. I gave him the quote an hour before the bid was due. He got the number. But I mean, to me, it was like, I'd walk into an electrical engineering office and I had an appointment with somebody. And as I'm walking through the bullpen area, right, all these little guys sitting in their bullpen, and somebody would see me like, hey, Crosby, before you leave, come see me. And then all these like little gophers would pop up, right, as I'm walking down the hallway. Hey, I need to see you too. Don't leave without talking to me. And most of the time they had a question. It wasn't like they had a project I could sell something. They're just like, what do I do with this situation? Here's the occupancy and I need to understand, like, and I would just answer their question for them. And they would remember the guy that helped them. And they were, hey, we've got a bid coming out in a month. Can you come take a look at it? And we work on, right? And I always got an advantage, in the situation. But to me, it was like they appreciated a resource. And if we can be a resource to customers and we can be consistent, you don't have to be 50% better than everybody else. I mean, in fact, in that world, I would say, hey, look, what I do is exactly the same as Siemens and Simplex and Johnson Controls. It's really, there's 2% difference. So can we talk about the 2%, right? And it would just equalize everything. And I differentiated myself by acknowledging that we had to be the same.
Yeah, it's so funny you bring that up. I actually had a talk with my sales rep about that today. We're trying to break in with a national integrator, and kind of the same objections you get a lot is, oh, we already have our partners and they've been with us forever and blah, 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 blah. But, like I told him, if they have their partners, they've been with them forever, why is there open jobs on Indeed and their board and everything so open, right? Like, I mean, clearly they're not closing these down. And so same thing I told him, I'm like, man, we're that 2% different. We know there's certain things we do that our competition doesn't. Give it to them for free. Show them. Let them have a freebie. And if they never want to do business with us, so be it. We walk away from them knowing that we gave it our all, but let's show them. Let's show them what that 2% difference looks like, and let's see where it takes us.
Just sometimes acknowledging that there's a lot of sameness. It's just a little thing.
Yep.
And then they would ask me like, well, what's the 2%? Like, well, that's a really good question. What do you think the difference is? What would you want to be different? Mm-hmm. And then they would tell me what they needed, and like, that's it, right? That's the difference. And I don't know, it's a rewarding profession when it's done professionally. Most people think of sales guy, they think of the short sleeve, clip-on tie, used car sales guy, right? And that's our mission, is to change and elevate the profession of sales. And it one salesperson at a time. It's going to take a minute, but that's our mission, is to help change that perspective. It's a great job because you get to help a lot of people and do pretty well for yourself, as you well know.
Yeah. And it's a really cool opportunity to be involved in so many going-ons across the country. I mean, my son gets tired of me because we'll be driving through Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'll say, oh, I put all the copper in that building, or, I did the fiber optics, or my techs helped build that building. And he's like, dude, I don't care. And now I can go to like Florida and Georgia and Texas and some of these other places. I mean, We had guys working on Elon Musk on the SpaceX project. I mean, that's cool stuff, man. That like we've never had the opportunity to say I even was remotely part of if it wasn't for sales.
It opens up a lot of doors. You get to meet some cool people, and it's fun, and you get paid pretty handsomely when you do it well. So let me ask you a question. Ask everybody: any relationship, past or present, with cigars?
Yeah, so great questions. My dad, who will be 80 soon in another year or so, he used to play golf a lot when I was growing up, and I'll never forget. And even sometimes after golf, he'd come home, smoke a cigar, would smoke on the golf course. And I just used to always love that smell, but never a big smoker myself until a little bit later on in life. And Macanudos were kind of his thing. And so a cool story is he hasn't played golf in probably 5+ years. And I took him out last weekend, and, you know, he's a little up there now. So he's like, I just want to play 9 holes. So showed him up, got him out, booked 18 tee time with 18 holes. Some buddies went out, and he ended up making it to 14. And about hole 7 or 8, I cracked open a bag with some Macanudos in it for him and I, so he could have another one and kind of relive the glory days. So it was a great father-son bonding moment.
That's pretty cool. The cigar that he smoked when he was playing golf and having fun. That's cool. That's one of the things. Like I ask that question of everybody, and sometimes you get a story about, you know, their personal thing, but often there's a familial connection, right? You know, father and your son, or your father and you. Like those are, to me, those are cool stories, and it doesn't matter if everybody's participating in the cigars, but it's that you can relive a lot of things, because that sense of smell. I bet anytime you smell a cigar, you immediately go back to your father.
Oh yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
The best part about it too is the cigar was by far the best part of that golf game.
We swung a few extra times than we would like to. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
Right. Mark Twain was right. It's a walk. It's a good walk spoiled, is how he described golf.
I like that.
You could have an absolutely shitty round and hit one shot, the approach shot on 18, or just you make a nice drive and then you're back, right? Just because of one shot. That's what's bringing you back. You don't remember all the other 8s and 7s on your scorecard.
It's the only thing in life that applies to, because I swear, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, why can't more things be like golf? Because everything in life, you focus like, oh, that happened, that was bad. In golf, you're like, you spent 4 hours playing bad and you remember the one good shot you had. Like, we need to refocus what we're thinking about in life too.
A couple of my buddies, when years ago, we'd go out. My brother didn't play golf, so we got him in, right? We got him booked. And he was playing for a couple of years, and he wasn't getting better because he didn't play enough. So we developed a scoring system for him. And is it a smiley face or a frowny face? Right? That was the scorecard. And if he had more smiley faces than he had frowny faces, it was a good day. Right? That's how we looked at it. We're outside. Yeah, it was after a few cocktails, but we were outside. We had cigars. Everybody was smoking cigars. There was a few cocktails involved, and you know, you're on golf courses are usually pretty places. It was all fun. So you know, then we're not playing professionally on Sunday, so let it go, and just go with the frowny or the smiley face if you're having a bad day.
Love it.
All right, man. I appreciate the time. Best place for people to reach out to you, the website, LinkedIn. What's the best place for people to?
Yeah. So for me personally, LinkedIn's the best way to get a hold of me, Michael Cole. And then anybody that wants to learn more about Next Level Technician, if you're a contractor in that space and need help, or if you're a technician looking for new job opportunities, or even if you're green, want to get in the field, nextleveltechnician.com.
All right. We'll have all that in the show notes. You can just go down and check on that. Michael, again, thank you. Best of luck. Thanks.
Thank you so much.